is Cinnamon Cooney, the Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to guide you through this fabulous painting in the night garden on burlap. Oh yes, that's right, burlap. Or you could paint it on regular canvas. So grab whatever you've got, your burlap canvas or your canvas, your paints and your brushes. Come right back and meet me at this easel right now. We'll get started. Come on. Hey, I'm so glad you decided to come and paint today. If you are a returning artist, it's good to see you guys again. I love hearing about your art journeys. I so appreciate you sharing everything with me. If you're a new artist, not to fret. This is a fully guided project. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to complete it. And you're going to learn a lot about art, but have fun along the way. Now, today I'm doing something kind of crazy. Something kind of kooky. Something kind of really off the chain. You're gonna notice that my canvas looks different than usual. Look at this interesting canvas. Look at this interesting canvas. All right, you see this here? I got my little sticker on the back still from whence I got it, and it's only important because here's what happened to me. So I'm in Hobby Lobby. Do you guys go to Hobby Lobby? I go to Hobby Lobby. By the way, I'm not paid or even spoken to by Hobby Lobby. Nobody in Hobby Lobby knows me. Nobody talks to me. I'm just like you. I just go in there and I just fall into the lobby. And I'm wandering through up and down the aisles just thinking about how I'd like to decorate the whole house for summer, and that all their summer stuff is half off. And I'm noticing that there's burlap everywhere. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, God, you know, there's been burlap at Hobby Lobby for a while now. Like, it's really trending. I mean, it's on Etsy, it's just everywhere. And as I'm thinking about burlap, I kid you not, I meander into the arts section because I always like to go by there because you never know when they're gonna have some crazy great sale on art supplies at Hobby Lobby. And I notice all these burlap canvases. And I'm like, huh, one would not normally paint on burlap. Why would you paint on burlap? And then I got to thinking about it, I'm like, it could be kind of cool to do it. So I bought it mine, so I brought it home. I did some tests. It was awesome. The stuff gives an incredible old world hand fabricated feel to it. It looks really expensive. It's really amazing. I'm like, oh my God, I could hang this stuff up all over my wall. And I realized I could teach the painting I'm going to teach today on this burlap, because you guys probably have walked by this and said, it's cool, but I don't know what it is, and I don't want to paint on it. Look, this was $12.99, which is pretty decent. And it's pre-gessoed here, so it's easy to paint when it's all that it gives this fresco thing. But hey, if you've got a regular canvas, no worries, right? It's just gonna look like this when it's done. All you're gonna do is finish off the painting. All you're gonna do is finish off the painting all the way off the edges. We're gonna stop at our weird little edge here, but you'll just take your little lines all the way off. It won't change your end result. So whether you're painting a traditional 16 by 20 canvas, or you manage to run into Hobby Lobby and grab one of the last remaining of these 16 by 20 canvases on the burlap, you're gonna get a great painting today. The materials are, besides this awesome Hobby Lobby burlap, and I say that because I didn't see it anywhere else. I looked everywhere else, and I may even like put something up about like how you might make one of your own if you don't have a Hobby Lobby, if you really want this look, how you might get it. Our paint, over here is the paint. So the colors today are phthalo blue, cad yellow, dioxazine purple, yellow ochre, Mars black, burnt sienna, and titanium white. I'm painting with a mixture. I've got Golden Professional paint today, I've got Liquitex, and I've got some Matisse. But here's the point. I paint in colors that all the brands carry, and I want you to paint in the best paint that you can afford. If you paint in those little tube paints, you're gonna see color shift. And if you guys get those teeny tiny little tubes in the art kits, I gotta tell you, those are not working. I've been seeing a lot of artwork coming back with those, and what happens is there's no pigment load, and it doesn't dry right, and you guys are having to do 5 coats to get a result, and you're really thinking that you can't paint, and it really isn't that. It's just that paint doesn't work. It's perfectly fine for the kiddos, but get the best acrylic paint you can afford. And look, if that's one of the entry like Artist Loft or Liquitex Basics, start there and then move on up. Other thing I want you to think about, and then we're going to totally get started, is your paint should come out the consistency of warm butter. It should not be clumpy. It should not be glumpy or grainy or difficult to mix. That is something that's happened to your paint on a temperature scale, too hot, too cold, and it started to break it down. All the paint companies swear to God that it's impossible to do, and yet every once in a while I open up a tube of paint and it's like, this is really glumpy. I've noticed the burnt siennas and the yellow ochres, I think because their natural pigments are much more prone to this, but it can happen in any color. Take it back if they tell you it's just normal paint and it's just don't even put up with it. Just take it back and get one that comes out like smooth, shiny butter. That is what you want. Brushes today, I've got an assortment here. I've got a 1/2 inch bright, 1/2 inch angles, 1/4 inch bright, and some details. And that's really all you're going to need to do this. Going to need some chalk, a ruler, and a ruler. You're going to need some chalk and a ruler. So listen, it's just me in my house. This is what I do. This looks like, this actually is my art studio and I made it all pretty for the purposes of this. But I'm a mom. I got 3 kids. I got a dog. This is just me in my house doing this with you. So we're going to block in our fabulous burlap canvas today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, I think I'm going to grab blue because I think that's going to show up the best. I'm going to measure out the lines, okay? And you do what I do and you're going to get my results. So I'm going to measure over here. And I'm going to say at about the 8-inch point, which interestingly enough is the halfway point. I'm going to make a little mark here on my white. Not on my burlap, on my white. Now, if you're painting on traditional canvas, you're going to make your mark at the top. And then I'm going to say come up to the 14-inch mark and make a line here on my white. But if you're painting regular canvas, you're going to make it all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to do the whoosh. I'm going to do the whoosh. Are you ready for the whoosh? Because the whoosh is the fun part. So I have found to get this funny little curve line, it's best to make the noise. So I go, whee! Make that little curve mountain slide off my canvas. That's right. Go like this. Go. Whee! I mean, this is your garden wall, so, I mean, it's rustic. It could have a funny, crazy shape. Don't be worrying about that. Now, 3 inches up, I'm going to make a mark. And 3 inches up, I'm going to make a mark. Obviously, you guys know if you're painting on the regular canvas, you're going to take those marks to the edge. And I'm going to take my ruler across to help me have a level, okay? And I'm going to, sometimes you need to drop your ruler down just a little bit. The trick on this, especially if you're doing the burlap because it's got this fresco edge, this rustic edge, is just to make sure you use things like measurements and a ruler. Whoops, I just went off there. To give you a nice line. So you take your line across. All right, take your line across. And so you make a nice little blue line across the canvas. Can you see that blue line across the canvas? Now, about 9.5 inches over, I'm gonna make a mark. And then 6 inches over from that, I'm gonna make another mark. So my arch is gonna be 6 inches open. And in the center, from the bottom of the canvas, I'm going to come up to about 14 inches. And I'm going to make a mark that will be the top of my arch. Okay? And that mark is really about 6.5 inches from the edge, if you want to check that. This is just a guide to let you know. Now, if it's hard for you to make a straight line, you can use your ruler to be your guide to help you create a straight vertical line. And look, don't feel like it's somehow you're just unable to make a straight line. Straight lines are actually pretty challenging. That's why architects go to school. I'm just saying. Takes a little while to get those really good architectural lines. And come up here. Not going to go all the way up to the top. These lines are, I'm taking them up about 9 inches. And then I'm going to arc. Just a little round arch up here. Okay? That's nothing. Then I'm going to make, at an angle, diagonally, a small 1/4 inch line. And I'm going to come up almost like a salvage edge, like 1/4 of an inch, making a parallel line that curves and converges into the top of my arch, and it'll disappear at my top mark. Now that little diagonal line that I made, that's going to tell me the direction of my curved road. Make a little mark, about 3 fingers up. That's where my road's going to disappear to. That's my vanishing point. There's my curved off path where you could go deeper into the garden. And that's all I've got to do to block in my night garden, whether you're doing it on burlap or traditional canvas. And listen guys, I want to see both, but I really hope some of you are brave enough to go out and try some of these burlap canvases because they have a really nice tooth to them. They look really rustic. I think they're really beautiful and fresh. I was thinking if you took furniture nails and went around the edge, wouldn't that be gorgeous? Oh, and just one last thing. Look at that hanger right there. It's ready to hang. You don't even have to frame this thing. This is ready to go on your wall. You can kind of see how the gesso's coming through there. I think these are really neat and really special. The one I got done, I really liked it. Oh, the other thing I want you guys to think about is make sure you have your beverage. This is a virgin kiwi blueberry mojito, and I will put the recipe up on Facebook and probably the webpage. And also be sure that you have given yourself a wonderful, delicious snack. My only point about this, guys, is this is your time. Make it special. Make it good. Make it wonderful. I'll move this over here, and I promise I'm not going to put it in the water there. All right, so you got your drink, you got your stuff. Let's pick up the first brush I'm going to pick up, which is, of course, if you've been painting with me for a while, you know I love my 1/2" angles. It's my all multi-tool purpose brush. Got my paper towel, got my 1/2" angle, and I'm going to do what's called an underpainting. Now, I know we've been talking about acrylic color grounds, and those are wonderful. An underpainting is a more complicated kind of ground. What it is the colors that go underneath the finished painting that give you depth and resonance in a painting, and it's something anyone, even a first-time painter, can do. Now I'm going to take a scotch of my burnt sienna over to my blue, and you're going to notice that it deepens it. If you take too much, it's going to make it green or gray. So you want to do this in small amounts at the edge of your paint palette. Just work your little, always work from the edge. Don't go into the center of your paint. Work your edge plops there, okay? And mix it around, and then I'm going to come, and this is where brush directionality is going to come into play. I'm very going to carefully, now on mine, right, I'm going to watch the edge of my white because I want to leave a little of that white shining through. And at an angle, I'm going to come in here and kind of paint this in. Now on the underpainting, it's not as important because this is the paint that's underneath. But for you guys, especially if you're new, just start thinking about those things. Brush directionality, okay? I'm going to paint all this in this dark, dark color, okay? Now, if you're painting the burlap, you're going to find that it's very toothy, which later is going to come into our favor. So you're going to work a little harder than usual to cover the canvas. But listen, don't worry. Even if you're a first-time painter and you went and grabbed your burlap, don't panic. I did this. I tested it. It's really not hard. It's an intimidating looking material, but it's actually easy as all get out to paint on. It's just fun. I love it. I'm into it. I'm so glad I bought all the ones that I did. You know, I got some plain burlaps because I figured I could take a palette knife and like frosting, put a coat of gesso out on here like this. You may hear my dog barking. That happens. I have a furry child and 3 human children, and all of them are noisy. Definitely, definitely a real YouTuber making real content here on the channel out of my house for you guys to enjoy. So that means sometimes we get set interruptions. That's what happens for us. All right, so we have that there. Now I'm going to do the same color in this arch to my road line. Okay, a little bit of that brown working from the edge, coming over. And this is good to start to see how that sienna impacts your phthalo blue. I'm careful not to paint out that second line and follow that second line around my arch. Now, I've taught this painting a lot, and I have to tell you, people get a shockingly good result. They really do. First-time painters, never painted. You know, the dad that everyone says, he's never going to be able to do it, but we brought him anyways. Always, always gets a good result. So I really want you to have hope. You know, if you've been painting with me for a while, this is going to be just a joy. This is going to come together for you really fast, really easy. And if you're real new, don't worry. Just, you know, slow down. Go at your pace. Take your time. You've got this. We don't have to close at a certain time. No one's going to kick you out. You can let it dry and start up again tomorrow. This is on your time. This is your special time, which is why I say it's so important to get a yummy snack and beverage. Healthy, you know, if you need to. Definitely yummy. Something that reminds you that this is special, 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 special time where you're being creative and you are investing in yourself. How important is that? It's important to invest in ourselves, to give back to ourselves so that we can give to the world the way the world needs it. I mean, that's really the truth. You can't give what you don't have, and if you don't restore your spirit in yourself, then you don't really have anything that you can give back. And we're all such givers, and we all really care. It's important to put back into those coffers. It is. It's super important. Oh, look at this come in. It's so nice. I love phthalo blue and burnt sienna together. They do a whole bunch of colors that are really surprising. They're kind of the cornerstone of, you know, the paintings. A lot of people like to avoid phthalo and go ultramarine, but if you are familiar with using burnt sienna or burnt umber into the phthalo, then you get these great, rich, gemmy tones that you have control over. Notice how I keep working these outside edges, and what that does, that's paint management. Paint management keeps me in control of what's happening. All right. And you'll notice I'm kind of what's called scrumbling the brush a little bit. That's because this is toothy. And so if you were brave and you got the burlap, and gosh, I hope some of you did, then you'll need to scrumble a little bit. But if you're painting just a regular gesso canvas, you won't have that issue at all. All right, now this here is an interesting deal. I'm going to do sort of an interesting reverse of what I just did. I'm going to take a little blue over to my brown, but I still want it to be brown to green, right? I don't want it to be the same color as the sky, but you're going to notice that it grays out and darkens the brown. How crazy is that? Same color combo, just a different direction. And I'm just trying to darken this up a little bit. In watercolor, a lot of times we paint from our lightest color to our darkest color. You have to save your light, is what they like to say in watercolor. But in acrylic, we build up layers, and very often we will do a darker color underneath and build up to lighter colors in the painting technique, which is why paint quality starts to become such an issue. Because you want paint with enough pigment and quality enough polymers in it to really be able to layer and lift and layer and lift. So as soon as you can invest in paints, just keep upgrading. Just do what you can do, respect your budget, and then upgrade when you're ready to. But don't let anything stop you from painting. That is really good. See, I do this early, so it's got to be virgin, and then the kids can drink out of the carafe. But that's actually really, really nice. It's super yummy. That's a lot like my hibiscus tea from the Halloween episode. Just super yummy. Now, you don't want this to be blue. You want this to be brown, because this is the base of your wall. This is the base of your wall. Right? How wonderful is that? Another thing I want you guys to do is make sure you have enough water on the brush. Enough paint on the brush, enough water on the brush. Can you see here? Can you see that there's a lot of different tones in this? I'm allowing this. I'm not doing a Home Depot color here. Some of it's lighter, some of it's a little darker. I'm allowing it to be multi-tone. That's what we like to call painterly. And really what that means is that you can just relax and enjoy this process. With painting, perfection and completion, they're an interesting thing. You want to have a little perfection. You definitely want to try to master your art skills. But really, it is completion that makes a painting. We got to finish it. We don't want to get so wrapped up in what's happening that we can't finish our art. So you got a little bit more blue in there, so that's a little bit darker. All right, coming in there, a little more burnt sienna, so it's a little bit browner. This is going to be such a beautiful aged wall. You're going to just freak out when you see the finished result. You're going to love it. Love it. I'm so happy to be putting this up. You guys really voted on this piece. I had like really good on Facebook at 200 comments. It was just crazy how well it did and how much you guys wanted to paint it. So I'm putting it right up. Putting step by step everything right up. You know, be sure and go by Pinterest, go by Facebook, go by Twitter, go everywhere I am. And if you're feeling brave, share your paintings with me. I don't do critiques, just so you know. I don't do them. I do art insights. I look for what you did well in the painting that you might not know that you succeeded at, and I might suggest some skills to aspire to as you move forward. But I don't critique your artwork. New artists do not need critiques. They need art insights. They need insights into their art from an experienced eye. And so when you share your artwork with me, if you finish the painting, I'm going to be like, that's great, because that's the first thing. That's the first goal you need to achieve, is finishing the painting. And then I'm going to go, where else did you naturally, where did you find yourself? Where did the painting start to come together for you? It's going a little brown over here, and that's perfectly fine. Okay? And I'm going to go, oh, well, you really got your color, or you have some really lovely stuff happening with your brush stroke that was really, really good. I'm going to look for where you achieved an early success, and I'm going to share that with you. Okay? Why don't I just like tear pieces apart and go into it? Because it doesn't serve you. You generally have already torn your own artwork apart pretty well by the time you share it with me, and have had a lot of, especially if you're really, really new, if you're like under 20 paintings, you guys are very self-conscious and you're already like, oh, I messed this up and I messed that up, but maybe I like it anyways, and I did better than I expected, but you know, these 20 things bother me. You don't really need my 20 insights on like what else you need to do differently. Generally, what you need is the things that you did well and maybe one or two art insights to grow on. Now, when you're 100 paintings in, when you've done 100 paintings and you're feeling really confident in your art skills, then an actually good critique is kind of nice. I have a critique in Houston that I like very much, and that is other artists who are working that will come together and we share our artwork and we weigh in on where pieces are strong, where they might need growth, what's going on, like right down to framing or the grounds, the materials used. And it's very professional, and everybody's got a fairly thick skin and we can all handle it. We all really know who we are as artists, and we're just trying to break through some type of blockage, or, you know, get confirmation that some crazy wild idea we have is a good thing. Critiques are generally not bashing somebody else's artwork. I don't, even if somebody paints something I don't relate to at all, if I don't have something positive to contribute to their art journey, I zip it. Even in a pro critique, and that has been my experience of the other people who attend, if they don't have something positive to contribute, they don't. Sometimes in art school, and I don't know why this happens there, this other type of critique, which is critical, which is brutal, will happen. I certainly have heard from some of you about these types of critiques. That is not a real pro critique. That isn't helpful. You don't need to play defend your life about your art. That's not what it's about. And really talented together artists don't need to do that. They don't need to bash each other. So that always lets me know, like, if somebody's highly critical and puts down stuff, then I'm like, oh, they're not really professional. Because that is a young art student mistake, to really trash another person's artwork. Now, those who are really out there with their skin in the game all the time, submitting to galleries or trying to get their stuff out there, then they're going to say stuff like, well, have you considered the dimensions of the piece? How are you doing on your golden proportions? Perhaps if there was more light over here, it would pop more. That's the kind of information you would get from critique. The interaction you and I have is an art insight and is in no way a critique. Because you don't need it right now. What you need to do is paint. You need to bring this part of your life in and enjoy it and have fun and not worry about the little stuff. Now, on these burlap pieces, you'll notice if you paint with me, well, I'm usually pretty fast getting stuff in, but it's very thirsty. It soaks up a lot of the paint, and it takes a little more work. Not like a crazy amount of work. I won't involve you guys into a crazy amount of work. Just a little more work to cover the surface. Not a problem, not a worry. Gonna get it in. As I get closer to the blue, I'm gonna just have more brown here so that I can just tell this line. And see how we're talking the underpainting. It blocks in the objects in the space around the painting, right? You can do this on watercolor paper. You could do this on a cabinet. You could do this on a cell phone. You know, being an artist is the same as being rich. You can pretty much make what you want. If you imagine it, you could make it. I mean, think what this would cost if you had to buy a hand-done painting at a boutique, you know, on this type of finish. You'd be so excited to find it. You'd so want to bring it into your home. Actually, there's not even that much out there on painting burlap. I'm so excited to put my step-by-step up because I don't think there's a lot out there about doing it. And I'm going to even covering how to create this gessoed part if you can't find the gessoed part on my step-by-step. How is that? All right, so I've got my wall in, and then I've just got to put this part of the road going back, the little path going back, and this arch. And this is really based on my time in France. This is from my own photographs and from my own experience in France. I actually got to live there with my mom while she was painting professionally. She was on QVC. She had puzzles that sold. She actually had quite a lot of stuff going on with her French street scenes, and so we had to go to France, and we like the French countryside more than the city because they're nice in the country. And that's what we did. So I spent a lot of time hiking and looking and enjoying gardens and walks, and now you're getting to enjoy my art garden. This is really yummy, and I used fresh lime juice, so it's actually very mineralizing and restoring. So it seems decadent, but it's healthy. And healthy. And healthy. How crazy is that? Because when you're an artist, you can make every part of your life fun. All right, I'm going to put in my black road. So everything else, I'm painting black. Even the little arch up here, I'm painting black. Now listen, if you're trying to get a thin line, paint the edge of the brush and don't press hard, because if you press hard, it's going to go wide, and if you press lightly, it'll get thinner. The harder you press, the thicker the line, and the lighter you press, the thinner. I tell you, my mom put up a video about how to paint thin lines, and she talked about all of this for 20 minutes, like all the things that affect the quality of line in a painting. She got heckled a little bit for it. Somebody was like, how come you have to explain to people that if you press the brush hard, it creates a thick line, and if you press it lightly, it creates a thin line? Because you can intellectually know that, but in the process of painting it, you are doing some huge quantum crazy stuff with your brain here. In the process of doing it, right? You'll forget it. It's crazy, but you will. It's not an IQ test. It's a muscle memory thing. It's like you could know that as a ballerina, you should be up on your tippy toes, but it's not that easy to do when you're out there on stage dancing for the first time. It takes a little bit of training. It takes a little bit of work. So I don't want you to ever feel bad about any of the stuff that you're struggling with in the art. It will all come. I have watched people come in at all levels of beginning skill, and the ones that succeed in their art, it's not about the talent, it's about the perseverance. Those are the ones that hang in and keep painting. Keep painting, you'll paint. Even Van Gogh said it. If you think you can't paint, then by all means paint, and then you will be painting. That is how that works. T is completely right. Nothing gets you to be a good painter than actually painting. And you can do this. You can have this painting up on your wall, looking at, you don't even have to hang the thing. It comes with that pre-done hanger. You know, wow, that's really nice of Hobby Lobby, because to stretch a canvas is kind of a thing. And then, you know, I can't imagine stretching burlap and then, you know, working all this out. They've done that for you. I think it's really cool. Nobody there even talks to me. Nobody talks to me. None of the stuff I talk about or share with you has anyone even come to me and said, hey, will you talk about this for us? A lot of times they're like, I don't know you. Who are you? You know. So what you do know with me is I'm not scripted or unscripted reality. I am just your Sherpa showing you artwork from my house, sharing my knowledge about an art journey with you, helping you through. That's what's happening here. I just went to Hobby Lobby and bought this canvas. That's what happened. It's 100% of how that went down. Not that I would mind the other thing, but it didn't happen yet. My mom used the tape and the tape company thanked her. Nobody's thanked me. Not a paint company. Nobody said thank you for talking about our stuff and showing it. It's crazy. But we don't need that, because you know what? You just need to know how this stuff works, or if it works, or what's going on. All right. That is the underpainting. Oh, it's almost time for the I Did It dance. I love the I Did It dance part of the day. Can't wait to get to eat my tart. I get to eat it at the end. Probably it will go to the kids, though. All the good stuff goes to the kids. I did it. I did it. I painted an underpainting. I did it on burlap. On burlap. I painted an underpainting on burlap. And it was easy. It was easy on burlap. How cool is that? I don't know. I kind of love it. I kind of do. I really do. Seriously, if you can, go get burlap. I get it if you can't. Just paint it on a white canvas. You're going to love it. It's a gorgeous painting. You saw pictures of it before. You'll see pictures of it on the website and Pinterest and everywhere. Obviously, it's a gorgeous painting. But listen, if you can get that burlap, if you got a Hobby Lobby, you can run in there and get one. Do so. And I'll put a thing on how to gesso it if all you can find is the just straight burlap ones, or the ones they have are damaged. I'll put a thing on the website on how to do it so you can make the white gesso part yourself, because I think actually probably you should do this with a palette knife, not a brush. It's my thinking. That's my thinking. Rinse, 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 rinse out your brush. Everything should be fairly dry by now. If it's not, what do? You hit it with the hair dryer. It is not the heat of the hair dryer that dries the painting. It is the motion of the wind. So you just hold it back, put it on the slowest setting, highest blow, and move it around like this. And that's how you use a hair dryer in painting. Don't do this now. That's crazy. Don't do it. Straighten up. Straighten up, Sherpa. Straighten up, Sherpa. Straighten up. Okay. That's going to be hard in edit. Rinse out your brush. And come back here, and I want you to go back, and you're like, wait, I just did this. I want you to take a little bit of your brown and come over your blue. gray that blue out a little bit and grab just a scotch of white. Don't over mix it. Let it be a little bit marbled. Now brush directionality is a big deal. You're going to brush diagonally this way, lightly. If you're on the burlap, you're going to really see a big result of it just skipping over, if you're using the light pressure, over that tooth, that texture. Okay? Just keep doing that lightly. A little bit of white, add it to the mixture. Make sure it doesn't get too bright because this isn't daytime, it's night garden. It's a night, that's such a fun kids show if you guys have never seen it. In the Night Garden. When I lived in Canada, we watched it, my son loved it. And so here I am doing this within the confines of this right here. I'm following these confines right here. But if you were doing a regular canvas, you would just take it to the outside edge. Heck, you could even go around the backside. So, you know, limit is your imagination. Do you love that? I'm going to show you again. Do you love, how can I get that? Do you love the texture of that? That is amazing. I don't know how to get that in focus. It just wants to focus on my face. Okay, just wants to focus on my face today. We're going to do the same thing right here. Brush a little bit wet, get a little bit of brown, not too much, take it over to the blue, gray out your blue, get a little white, little bit. These are small amounts. Make sure that it's fairly dark. It is important that it be fairly dark because it is night time. And just follow that diagonal brush direction. Just gives us a feeling. And sometimes all you need is a feeling. A little bit of white, mix it into the color, but not too light. Because it's not daytime, it's nighttime. And I'm being real light. I'm letting a lot of the underpainting shine through here. Because that's what I did it for. Was to create layers and dusting. And I'll tell you what, these canvases are ideal for it, but if you're painting on a regular canvas, it is going to have enough tooth to still give you this result. You know, you can see that result on the regular canvas, and this is about light pressure, just kissing the canvas with the paint, just being gentle. Don't grind it in there, just be gentle. You can do it. You've got this. Whatever else going on in your life, you are in charge here and nobody's allowed to criticize. Not even you. No criticizing. All right, so that looks really, really good. Really, really fantastic. And we're going to start working in this wall. Okay, while we're letting this blue dry a little bit. We'll come back and get the branches in. So I want you to take a little bit of black over to your burnt sienna and burn it up some more. Burn it up some more. And then you're going to take a little bit of white. Okay. And you're going to, maybe a little more white than that. You're going to start aging out this wall. And we're going to be very light, and I'm going to be multi-directional. I don't know if you can see this. Multi-directional with this paintbrush. Multi-directional. Yeah, right? Multi-directional with this paintbrush. Look at that. So that's aging out that wall. That's what we're doing. We're creating the feeling of a wall that's been here through history, through time. All right, see that nice putty color? So just very lightly dusting this. Just aging it back and letting it be. Sometimes you'll want a little more red in the tone. Sometimes you'll want a little more black. The trick to this, whether you're doing this on a traditional canvas or this fabulous burlap gesso canvas, is to just, it's almost a scrumble, which is a crazy little going on. It's hard on your brush, but you know what? It gives you a beautiful result. And I get this by not putting too much paint on my brush, right? Not putting too much paint on my brush, and trying to keep my brush stroke fairly random. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep my brush stroke fairly random. I want this to feel like an old wall. So sometimes the colors will be much lighter. Look how that color's much lighter there. And I just scrumble it around. It's really kind of fun. I'm telling you what, this is a very satisfying piece to do. And there's a lot of aging and distressing here that happens that pulls this in through the centuries and creates depth and story to it. And I don't know about you, I love to travel and I love to find spaces like this that are old, love to find spaces like this that are old. You know, interact with them. And just notice as I'm painting, I'm changing up the color. What I'm trying to do, a lot of, if you're painting with me all the time, you've kind of figured out this sort of sub-story that happens in art. I'm breaking up the patterns. I'm breaking them up. Our brain is looking for patterns. Our brain is designed to find patterns. It's why we're curious, why we can discover things. It is certainly a feature, a strength of us as a species to find pattern, right? But it also, when we're trying to paint on the cave wall and tell everybody about our hunting ground, and we're trying to tell it as we're seeing it or experiencing it, can make things a little more challenging because our brain wants to repeat and repeat and repeat, and you've got to break it at that. That's what the right brain is for. The left brain gets your patterns, and then the right brain starts telling you stuff that you didn't even know was true about you. You know, amazing the journey of self-discovery that art is. Doesn't mean artists are like perfect people. Certainly they are not. It's just that they have access to their inner voice. So whatever the truth is, you can get out of your way enough to hear it. Hear yourself in all of the noise of the world. Isn't that looking just, look, it's just aging up. It's just shocking. It's almost like a magic trick. And you're doing the magic. I mean, it's not extraordinary that I can paint. I've been doing it a long time. But when you do it and you see yourself succeed at an element, that is a big, big deal. You know, and you are never at a place in your life, you have never missed out on that experience. You haven't. There is never a time that there isn't something new to do. My dad at 76, no, I guess he was 70 when he took up paragliding, because that's what you do when you're 70, you take up paragliding, and he still skis Mammoth, because, you know, that's what you do is you ski Mammoth. And he just, you know, he's always doing something new. There's no time that it's just over. You're always at the beginning. And when you paint, it's the same as being rich. You can have it. I have to say it again and again, but it really is. You know? You can do this as a mural. You can paint this on a cushion or the back of a jacket. Eventually, you're going to get it. Now, a lot of you write me and say, I have no creativity. I can't invent anything. I can't imagine anything. It will come. Even if you're zeroed out, like you've really dampened your imagination, you've just crushed it down, you've just dampened it. If you keep painting, you keep painting, you keep painting, at some point, 10 painting, 20 painting, 30 paintings in, there's going to be a big neural explosion in your brain, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, I'm imagining things. Yes, you are. You will be. So just took a grayer amount. I'm just layering, layering, layering. Isn't that just fabulous? Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Just working and breaking up those packs. Oh, I just love that. All right, rinse out your poor abused brush that's been painting with you, making scrumbly, scrumbly little walls. It's tough stuff. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start putting in our little trees and bushes. So you're going to take a little bit of your yellow ochre, a little bit of your burnt sienna, and your blue. And you're going to make a deep, dark green. And what you want is just something very dark. You're going to, now the Jackie Chan. So what you want to do is we're talking about breaking up patterns. I'm going to come up and down and up and down. Let's see if we can get right on in here and see it. Up and down. I'm going to come up. What I'm trying to do is tell the story of this tree, and this tree has grown at its own pace. All right? That's what I'm trying to tell the story of, is this ziggity, ziggity, ziggity down, ziggity, ziggity down, random pattern, like a Jackie Chan drunken monkey fight scene. It's just random, okay? Just like those clouds we talked about before. Now I'm going to add a little white to this. And just at the tip of the trees, I'm going to add this light gray spruce color. Okay? Just gray spruce color, light, light, light. Now I'm going to come and get a little bit of the yellow ochre, a bit of the blue. I'm going to add some of that behind this. Okay, behind it, breaking up that pattern. I don't want pattern. Now I'm going to come into my blue and make that dark, dark blue green. That dark green. And it might take you a little practice to get the colors, but don't worry about it. And if it makes you really crazy, you could just buy a dark green. I think mixing colors is a joy, but don't do anything that takes the joy of being creative away from you. You know, and do something that makes you love it. Get another little white because we need this. Yeah, we want some highlight there. Just make sure you got the highlights. Maybe highlight a second little run of trees here. Highlight it. See, I'm just breaking it up. Your eye fills in so much, so just don't tell the whole story. Rinse out. We're going to do something very similar across this angle. So, get your yellow, get your blue, make your green, because yellow and blue make green. Now you're ready for millionaire. That was actually like a millionaire question. If you want to add a little bit of this brighter yellow to green it up more, you can. See, it just takes, just work it out and find your colors. Now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to come along here, but I'm going to make sure I break up my patterns because I want these bushes following my brush direction. But look, go down. Just when you think you know, I'm going to go back up and then down. See, I'm changing it up. And if I feel like I need some of that color up there, I do it. But what I don't do is a zigzag, zig, 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 zig. And I think I want it to come off here to this edge. See that? See that right there? Coming off to that edge. Okay. Come back, take that, dust it. Right? We're letting the paint underneath show through. And then we're going to get into our darker colors. So maybe a little bit of this yellow, maybe a little bit of the yellow ochre, back over to the blue. Deep color. A little burnt sienna if you need it. Coming in. Oh, it's a deep green. It's deep, deep, deep. Deep. Breaking up that pattern. Breaking up that pattern. And I'll just take that dark color all the way to my corner here. Isn't that nice? Just super easy. Now I'm going to rinse out my brush. Rinse, 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 rinse out my brush. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my brown. I don't care if a little bit of green gets in. Come over here. I'm going to get a little bit of my black and make it almost black, but not quite black. Now I'm going to, on the edge, very carefully right here, paint a line about 1/4 of an inch thick that follows the wall. Now if you're painting the burlap, It's a little more challenging to get it to cover because of the grain, so you might have to come at it. You may have to come at it twice or a couple of times. Right? There you go. And you would just take the line off and off if you were doing it on a regular canvas. But I hope you're not. I hope you took the plunge and are doing the burlap with me. Now, I want you to come and have some fun with me. I want you to get a little bit of the yellow and a little brown, but really kind of gold up. And we're going to, just down here on this wall, we're going to add and dust some of this burnt sienna and yellow ochre color, breaking up the pattern. You want to have a light amount of paint. Do that there and be dusting it up. Just aging this wall out. Showing some stuff. We're going to just dust around some color like this because we're going to come in and we're going to show, you're going to love this because we're going to show once we get this done, the aging of the wall, the molding of the wall, the rain of the wall. See that scrumbling right there? Scrumbling is humbling and lots of fun. And what's nice is some of this color hopefully will have gone green and be showing through. And some will not. And now you're starting to see an old aged wall with a story to tell. That's what you're hopefully seeing. Now, I'm going to make some green. I'm going to actually, in this particular case, take a little of my yellow and a little of my blue. I'm going to make a deep, deep green. And I'm going to take some brown and add it to that. You see that there? I'm going to do something kind of crazy. I am going to get a lot of water on my brush and thin this until it looks almost like a watercolor. And I'm going to dab this off on my paper towel. And I'm going to come down. I'm going to start doing the rain. And the trick about this is, and I'll do this at an angle, you do it on the flat because you want to be as vertical as possible. I'm going to show this sort of water runoff that's happening. And that's why I thin the paint. That's why I create that sort of glaze that's washing down. And this isn't hard. This is just like, you can see right there how it's watery. I'm picking it up. I'm making sure I don't have too much on my brush. Coming under here. And again, can you tell what I'm doing? Am I breaking up that pattern? If you need a little more brown in it, get a little more brown in it. You know, break up the pattern. Break it up. This is the green. This is the mold that's coming down. All right. And that's what you're doing. You're pulling this mold down. Come all the way. So the whole arch is going to have this. Just pull it down and enjoy this part. Age your wall. Tell a story about your old wall, which is different than any other old wall out there. Just have fun with it. Tricks to succeeding at this: don't make a pattern. Resist the pattern. Resist patterns in your life and patterns in your paintings. Unless you have a pattern of success, then don't resist that. But if you have patterns and healthy patterns that aren't working for you, resist those. And in your painting, resist those patterns. And then it's just, you know, how far down you want to pull this little molding, right? My pressure is very light on this, right? My pressure is very, 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 very light. I'm keeping my pressure light. I'm going to get a little yellow ochre here. Add it to that. A little yellow ochre. I want, you know, some moss of personality. Pull it down here. Now I'm not going to go that far back with this over here, and the reason being is I'm going to have a bunch of this beautiful wisteria happening. Okay, got that there. And while that's resting there, rinse my little brush out. And I'm going to get my 1/2 inch bright. Now it's a 1/2 inch square. You just want a squared brush with a nice little edge, and it's 1/2 inch. This particular one is Creative Mark. I paint all Creative Mark because that's what I can get, and I think it's a good brush, and it's a good price point, and I never have to worry about like if I made a mistake with my brush and I ruin one because I didn't pay so much that I have to be upset. And I like them. That's what I paint with. If you wanted to know what brushes I'm painting with that I choose to buy with my own money, nobody from Creative Mark is talking to me at this time. I'm just saying that's everything that's in the brush bucket. All right, so how I'm going to create the stones around here, and I'll start at the top. I'm going to create one top stone, and it is going to be about a 1/2 inch long. And then I have one next to it. And that is the brown and black paint. Can you see that there? These little dashes that I'm making around here that I'm applying my stones. See, going to France, painting straight sands with palm. Paid off. Don't tell her though. Alright, so we're coming around. So the trick to my little stones is I'm leaving about a little 1/8 of an inch between them, and I'm leaving about a little 1/8 of an inch of the wall. Right? Can you see that? How much I'm leaving those little spaces? So I'm coming here to the edge, pulling back. You know, they're not perfect. I'm not trying to make them perfect. Not about perfection. It is about telling the story in paint. You know? That is what it's about. I'm going to come around the other side and go around here and do that. Totally doable. Just telling my little story, making my little dashes. These are the stones that strengthen the arch. Though arches are pretty strong. That was like the whole point of them, architecturally. Just putting these little stones in, adding some character to my wall. Now you could put, these are more like bricks, I guess. You could put like actual round stones in if you wanted to. If that's what you wanted to do, and then create those different looks. All right, coming around. Are you loving this painting? Is it blowing your mind? So fun to do. I'm loving this on burlap. But you could do it on a regular canvas and it would be beautiful. I showed you at the beginning. And your painting will be beautiful. All right, there we go. I've got my little arch here. Now the fun part, a lot of times, is doing the wisteria. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my dark green, and I think I'm going to use my 1/2 inch angle, and I'm going to start my brush strokes with the short bristles and finish them on the long, so it's like this. See, the short bristles begin the stroke and the long bristles finish it. And I'm going to make some dark green. I'm going to use my blue and a little bit of my cad yellow. Right? I'll come add a little of my brown, like you do, to force that green up. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Color mixing is fun, man. It is super fun. I'm going to load up my brush with a nice amount of paint. And you guys will start, if you have regular canvas, you'll start from the top edge. And those of us that are doing this will obviously follow our other little edge. And I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to make a little stroke. You see these little strokes? Now I'm going to be filling this in. This is the background foliage. So guess what the trick here is? Don't make patterns. Dashing strokes. And we'll be changing out to a round brush, but right now we're trying to get in a layer here, okay? And try to avoid the pattern trap while we're doing it. And don't worry however you're doing, because this will come together in layers, builds up. You're just creating a background base for everything to hang on. All right. All right. Now that I've got that dark green, I'm gonna let all this dry a little bit because sometimes things need to dry. And I'm gonna do something kind of fun. I'm gonna put in my twiggly little branches. So get your tiny, tiny, tiny little detail round. Now you'll notice that what I do is I get a little bit of water, I swirl it around, I do a twirl in my hand to get a point. Interesting little thing. See, then I can get this little point. Twirl and pull, twirl and pull. That's how I load that up. Now right about here, I'm going to create a little branch. That's coming up. Branches are thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top. You're going to need to have a little more water on your brush to have a fluid flow of paint. Light pressure is the trick to branches. Okay? Light pressure. And I'm going to come from down here, make another little branch. Maybe a little ghost of one up here. If you did the Halloween painting with me, this is pretty easy by now. You've got your branches down. I do a lot of trees. We talk about trees a lot. Thicker at the bottom, thinner at the tip. I'm going to get a slightly bigger detail. Still a detail. You could do the same. I just had a really tiny one. And I'm going to come into that green that I made for the wall, but I'm going to make a brighter version of it. I'm going to add a little yellow to it. Okay. And from this corner, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a fan. My fan's going to go out over my road a little bit. And I'm fanning out. Can you see the fan? Just going to fan out some color here. Now I'm going to get a little white. Mix it into my color. And it's making a much lighter color. And then while this paint's still wet, I'm going to come and flick some more color. But I'm not going to paint over all of it. I'm going to leave some of the color underneath because we're layering, right? So now we've got some layers there. And I think I'm going to put some little kind of white yellow flowers back there. You could put the blue purple ones back there, but I want some different kind of color. So I'm actually going to start with my, interestingly enough, just my yellow ochre. I'm going to load up my brush with some paint on the tip. And I'm going to make a little dab, 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 and I'm going to keep coming to a point. Maybe I'm going to come here and do that again. I'm going to do a little point. I've got some little flowers, some sort of little conical flower, like a butterfly bush. Maybe a little layer in here. Trick with this is going to be layering it. So that's a very muted yellow. And I'm going to let that dry for a second. And while I'm letting that dry with my bigger detail brush, right? We want a bigger detail brush. And I mean, there's all kinds of details that will work, you know, any sizes in the details. You just want a round that's coming to a point. That's smaller. It's going to give you small, small little line. Right? That's what you want. Any kind of brush. I'm using just an inexpensive brush here, like in my hand. I'm going to get this brighter green. Maybe add a little more blue to it. Okay. Just using where I mixed. Because I don't stress about this. A little bit of blue. A little bit of yellow. Having fun. Load up the brush. Now I'm going to start adding some little story of my wisteria. Little squiggle and pull, squiggle and pull. When we lived in France, below our village, the La Bastide-Esperance, was another little village. Had this house. It was the house of the mayor for the area, and his house was covered in wisteria. And for about 3 weeks, it was amazing, beautiful to see. I was sort of disappointed to see it didn't last very long. It kind of reminds me of azaleas in the South, where it's just not a very long show that you get. So this is really going to need 3 layers of green. You see this, how I'm just sort of doing this like, it's like this. This is a stroke. It's not that specific. It's not that perfect. See there? I'm really loving this. Let me put this up on the wall of art behind me. As soon as it's done today, it's going to get hung. Yeah. I don't know, maybe this one will go on the Etsy store. I have an Etsy store. You can go see stuff. If you want to see the Etsy store, got a pre-active Pinterest board, pin a lot of your guys' artwork. You get behind on pinning because, dude, pinning is a lot of effort. So you see that pulling down, that greenery coming down that wall? All right, rinse our brush out. Rinse. You know, it might be a good time to get clean water if you have it. I happen to. It is nice in the painting to periodically get clean water, switch it out. This is also a good time to enjoy your delicious beverage. My ice is melted, but it's still very mineralizing and alkalizing and yummy. It tastes good. I use agave. I don't know if you guys believe in agave. I do. I like agave. So, and I thought this went really pretty with the painting, pictures on the page. We had some craziness with the Heart Party page, but we've just we changed, I guess it was the provider. And so that's awesome. Very happy with our new direction there. All right, so these wonderful flowers. I'm gonna get some yellow, some of this bright yellow. This is pretty bright though. This is pretty bright for our painting and it's nighttime. So get a little bit of the yellow ochre. We need to knock it back just a touch. We don't want the full yellow. We want it still to be pretty yellow. And then you're going to come here. And you're going to dust just a little bit of color. You can see that? Just a little bit of color. Dust, 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 dot, dot, dot. Real light pressure. Like I'm sneaking up on the canvas. And I'm tapering it to a little point. See that? Tapering it to a little point. Tapering, tapering. Oh, that's looking really nice. I feel like I need to have something there. I like to have little layers of things. I feel like it helps it. And if you want, you can grab a little bit of your white and some of that color. And come back and add just a titch, just a couple dots. Amazing how this creates flowers. People will be so insane for your flowers when you master this. It's really sort of the beginning of what goes on with flowers. It's just super fun. All right, now the light color of leaves, and then we get to put in the other flowers, which is the super fun part. So get a little bit of your white, okay, and create this sort of grayed out mint. See, there's already brown in there from before, and you're just kind of pulling a color. And find new spots. Find a new spot. And I'm using this little brush here just to show you, it's not really necessarily even always, like, you've got to have a brush where the bristles shouldn't be falling out of your brush and your canvas. Okay? And it does help when you have a brush that's not fighting you, but a lot of times it's just how, I'll use a lot of messed up brushes and get a good result. It's just how you interact with those brushes. Just how you interact with those brushes. And there you go. Just a little bit of that color there, just a little bit of that dust. Looking pretty good. Rinse that out. All right, fun stuff. Now, hopefully you've got some blue, clean area blue to work with. If you don't, you'll need to put out some. And I want you to grab a little bit of blue and a little bit of purple, but you're going to keep it more blue than purple. And you're going to get some white. And you're not going to mix it on the brush. Crazy thing this is how we're going to do it. And you're going to come down. This is the What Dreams May Come flowers. You guys remember that movie? This is those flowers from that movie, those colors. That's how you get them. Some of the color will be dark blue. You just pick up the paint. Don't mix it on the brush. You're picking up little things and letting it mix on the canvas. Super fun stuff. See, we're making those little flowers droop down. A lot of ways to make wisteria. They're all good ways. If you have a different little way, maybe you want to do the dab, dab, dab and paint specific little clusters, but we're just trying to tell a little painted story here. Okay. So some of these are lighter blue. You want to, again, break up the pattern in color too. If you get a pattern going in color, break it up. So now I've got that. Look for holes. I'm always looking for my holes. Where does the painting need to get filled in? Okay, so striping down like that there. Oops, touched wet paint. That'll happen. That will happen to you all the time. How's this looking? Are you loving it? You're doing good. Don't panic. Take a breath if you're freaking out. This is art, not anything to do with splitting atoms, which means nobody's going to get hurt. You're not working with nitrous oxide, not nitrous oxide, nitrous. Well, sounds like I'm working with nitrous oxide. Nitrous. You're okay. Just, just relax. You're okay. Just relax. Keep your hat on. All right? Keep your hat on. Now, a little blue over to your purple, but you want mostly purple. And you're going to grab a little white. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Wisteria in the night garden. So pretty. So peaceful. Just loving it. See those going in? Just a little. I don't worry about it. Now I'm respecting my boundary, but if you're painting regular canvas, you would be doing this all the way up through the top. All this is. See, you just don't get thrown off by little things like they changed my painting boundary, and I'm like, I don't care. It's all good. All right. Look for holes. Look for areas where you just feel like you need to break up the pattern. Make sure you're getting lighter and darker colors. That's quite lovely. Now, this. All right. Next thing that you're going to do is you're going to get your 1/2-inch angle brush. We're going to start putting in that road. You're going to need to watch for your little flowers over here. And the first thing I want you to do is grab a little black and a little bit of blue and a touch of white. And on a very flat thing, you're going to very lightly unlevel. See this here? It's level. My stroke is level. And you may not be able to see the color difference, but it is one, and it is important for that look of the wet street. That blue and black together with just a touch, just a kiss of white, is very important for creating that look of the wet street. It's easy, it's not a problem. Just keep it level. Right. Keep it level. Now don't paint out your flower. You can take it up here. You might you have to use the edge of your brush there. And clean up your street. We're almost done. All right, see how that is? I don't know if you see the little subtle differences that are there. The little subtleness in the street makes a difference. Okay. Now I'm going to get a small 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch bright, because it's a nice edge. And the first thing I'm going to get is a little blue and a titch of white, more blue than white. And from the back here, okay, from the back here, very level, I'm going to start dusting a reflection. And the trick to my water is the water on my street and water on streets in general, okay, is keeping it level. The light catches along and dances. Do you love this? Just be like a dot matrix printer in your head. Okay. Pick up a little more. Just as I get closer to me, the viewer, strokes in the back will be smaller, strokes in the front will be bigger. Interesting little side effect. Okay. This is not blue because water is blue. This is blue because the sky reflects in the water. Water in the ocean, water in a lake, water on a street is a mirror. That's what it is. That's what you're actually painting. Okay. Now, for this side over here, add a little more of your blue, because reflection. And I want you to get your purple, some purple, scotch of white, and purple, scotch of white, and you're going to do some purple reflection. It's not really going to go past this midpoint in the road. This is the reflection of some of the flowers. They're hanging overhead into the street. Isn't that lovely? Just a little bit of a reflection of that. Looks beautiful. Rinsing my brush really well. I'm going to reflect a little green over here. I'm going to get my dark green, remix it if I need to, little white, and I'm going to reflect a touch of green in that dashing way, level and breaking up that pattern. Okay? Do your best. It comes in time. It's all the way to get this skill, I'm going to teach another one soon with this same sort of wet street. So these skills are going to have payoff in your art collection, your home art collection. Okay. Now I'm going to create this sort of like center little field coming out of, I'm going to get a little more white than blue, a little more white, not mix it up too much. And I'm going to just down the center of this create this weird Not all the way back. It's kind of coming forward. At the center of my canvas. Isn't that right there? Just enjoy that. Is that beautiful? It's so happy. It's so peaceful. You can just relax here at this garden. You can just be happy here. This is your garden. And no drama here. Only peace. You're loved and accepted here. You're loved and accepted here. And you're loved and accepted here. Everything is fine here. Everything is safe here. Everything is good here. You're in charge here. All right, so that's just beautiful. And the last little bit of color I want to get is some of that. Take a little yellow ochre and a little yellow, right? A little bit. And a little white, a little bit. And I'm going to dust just a little bit here because I'm not going to go all the way to the back. It's going to be about the midway point here. And I'm going to put just a little bit because, and the reason is there's going to be a light up here. And if there's a light, we would be seeing its light in the ground. Okay, that's all. Tell that story. Tell that story. A little bit of light. Just keep it level. That's what you want to do, is keep it level. Keep yourself level in life. Keep yourself level in the reflection. You did a little bit of this if you did the deer. If you haven't done the deer, go do the deer too. They're wonderful. Serene Escape does a little bit of this. Okay. How are we doing? Sip, sippy, sippy, sip. I'm thinking I like the burlap, guys. I really do. I think it looks like $1,000,000. If you had to give a gift and you gave it on this, how blown away would they be? How like completely like, oh, that's the most beautiful thing I ever saw. Would they be? I think they would be blown away. I think they would love it. I think you're loving it. I think it's ready to go up on the wall. I think it's amazing. You could stop here and hang this and be happy. But I say, let's get our detail brushes out. Let's get them out. And let us do the lamp. Now, I'm going to do this in black, okay? You're welcome to sketch this in chalk or white paint first or some other process. But what I'm going to say is in the halfway point here and here, I'm going to make a little dot. And that's the beginnings of my lamp. A lot of times in art, it's really just about making a decision, and this isn't that bad of a shape. This is really a bell shape. And I'm going to come down about 1 inch, directly down from my dot, and I'm going to make a flat line. This flat line is, I will tell you, I'm going to guess it should be about 1 inch long. It is 1 inch long. Gosh, I'm so good about art. Okay? Now I'm going to come up with a straight vertical line, teeny tiny one, not even 1/8 of an inch, small. Okay, we've got metric now, small. Okay, and we'll come across, and I'm making this little bell thing right here. This is some nice lighting. They have paid for some nice lighting. Okay, and I'm going to make the bell. So I'm going to come down, and it's exactly like the slide. Yeah, it is. So you can come down and go, wee. All right. Wee. And that's our little bell shape. And paint that in. And of course, you know, that will be on the step-by-step. You know, sometimes it takes us a couple days to get the step-by-steps after the launch of a video, but they're always up shortly after. Well, I work with an artist, Chuck Carson, who's amazing, and he helps me turn these into digital graphic pieces that are pinnables and shareables. He also created the look of the Sherpa and all of our fun graphics that you're seeing on the website of me, like the cartoon of me. I gotta say, recently I had some fan art done of me by one of you guys, and I loved it. It was pretty cool, so... it's real fun to see an icon of yourself in art. It's just crazy. I felt like Doctor Who almost. I was like, oh my goodness, I have fan art. But yeah, Chuck's our artist. It just takes us a minute. He's really good. He's really crazy fast. Okay, so I've got my little bell shape there. And straight down the middle, I'm going to make a straight line down that is about a 1/2 inch long. And I'm going to make a little ball at the bottom. Okay, and that line isn't too thick. It's a pretty fine line. I'm using very light pressure in a detail brush, a fairly well loaded brush. Okay, all right. And then I'm going to curve out in a little half circle and meet up here. Curve out a little half circle and meet up here. And there's my little lighting fixture. Do you see my little lighting fixture there? So this little circle comes down here like this, straight down, down like this, little circle at the bottom, and a bell. Trick. So the little hook up top, I'm not going to make you do a foreshortened, hand-hammered hook. What I'm going to do, and this is really interesting, is we're going to just do the letter S. And that's how we're going to hang this lamp on this wall. And then I'm going to just put a little nail there. And that's your eyes going to read like that. And all we're going to have to do later is the highlight. All we're going to have to do later is the highlight. Now I want you to grab some of your yellow. Right? It's got a little brown in it. Some of this yellow you've got going over here. Very carefully they get a little gloppy, it happens. Paint the inside of your lamp. Now listen, if you paint out your black line, it's black, you can put it back in. It is a boundary. It's like a guide fence. It says don't go crazy with the yellow everywhere. Paint the inside of that. We're about to be masters of light up in here. Seriously, I'm going to show you that trick. That was all about cadmium yellow. Like, and Bob Ross had already done it better. I'm just saying. Bob had done it better already. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my little brush and I'm going to get a little white with a little yellow. And I'm going to come and just on the, just a little bit, light, little, I'm going to, the lower part of the S. Okay. Not all the way to the edge of the black, but I'm going to make some curved lines in. About here I'm going to stop. Outside line, and I'm going to come across. I'm going to come here, and just one little, so that is all it takes to create the shape of this fabulous lighting that's right here. All right, now, either dry your angle brush dry, or be like me and have a whole nother angle brush, because we're about to get dry brushing crazy. Get a little bit of white on a dry brush. Get a little bit of yellow on a dry brush. This is almost some Donna Dewberry stuff. We're going to tap it off on your paper towel. If you need to, I have extra paper towels. It's always nice to have extras around. Okay? Tap, 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 tap. I don't want it too loaded. I want to make sure I've got plenty of white. And then light, I'm going to very lightly around this. Okay, very lightly. Like this, circling. Cast the light down my wall. Alright, now another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab just some yellow ochre. Okay. Dry. And I'm going to mimic that line again. Just make sure that I have repeated that pattern. Look at that lit lantern. You just did it. The bench. Now, you're happy here. You can run. I like to have a place to sit. I think it's also nice sometimes to have like a potted plant right here, which you would start the potted plant here and then paint it up, or lots of different things you can put here. I like the bench. The bench is a little daunting. I'm going to measure that off for you, and then we're going to paint it in. And it's going to be all good. Okay. So my first line that I'm painting on the bench is 4 inches long. I'm going to put it in black so you can see it. Now you can sketch it in first. I just want you to be able to see these measurements as I'm doing them. And then about an inch, just under an inch, 3/4 of an inch behind is a shorter line, okay? It's going to be a shorter line. You're going to do a shorter line right here. Then you're going to join these 2 lines, all right? And about 1/4 of an inch line up, 1/4 of an inch line up, it's less shorter, but 1/4 of an inch line up. Go ahead and connect these and curl it at the end. Or you can make a little ball. That's another thing that people like to do, is make a little ball. I'll do the little ball because that could be just a little bit easier. Make a little ball. Okay, and then these lines will match up. All right, then one straight leg down. We will definitely paint this in all black, and then we'll have to come back with some highlights. The line that comes down from this will be directly under. Go directly under and then begin a line. It's going to come down here, but the front leg will be longer. The front leg will be longer. There'll be a little step-by-step on the bench and the bell on Pinterest, on the webpage. Again, it might come a little bit later than the tutorial, but it is coming. It will happen. So I've got 3 lines, 1 tall one and 2 shorter ones. I'm going to make my tall line. It's a couple inches tall. Then about an inch line, like this. All right. This is the back. All right. And then there's going to be a bar that goes straight across here. And I'm going to curve this down in a little C. And this is going to go across here, and then there's going to be a little arch. And that's how I get that little look. I'm going to paint all that in with my small sized little bright here, and then I'll do my highlights. It really isn't that hard to do the bench. We're not architecturally rendering in a bench. We're using foreshortening to sort of tell a story of a bench. In a not crazy accurate way, but in a way that satisfies the soul and heart. You know, you can really, I'll tell you what, in a story perspective, there is no bottom to that in that magic space. You can work on perspective, you can take classes, there's rules. Anybody can learn it, okay? Yes, sometimes some people will find that, you know, they have an easier time with it, but listen, you will never be hurt by taking a perspective class, whether you take it on like an online website like Craftsy, or whether you take it in a college. Again, nobody at Craftsy talks to me. So nobody's talking to me. I'm sure someday maybe they will. We keep being here. Eventually, I guess they'll probably decide they ought to. Still love that tape company for thinking mom. All right, so that's the base of the bench. Painted in nicely. I'm going to get that detail brush back out. And like the light, I'm going to create highlights that pop this. So I'm going to get a little bit of my yellow. And I'm going to come and get a little bit of white. I'm going to try not to have too much on there. So if I have to wipe the brush off, I will. I'll load up the tip. And on the ball, I'm going to make a little inside circle, make a little highlight here. And a small light highlight on the front of the bench. Okay, maybe a little one back here, softer, lighter. There you go. Then I'm going to sort of follow the shape of the seat here. Just do some streaks across where the light would be shining. We're literally nearly done with this, by the way, guys. Just some highlights here and there. The light's reflecting on this black lacquer. Just tell that story. Right? Now that little light highlight there makes a ton of sense. And then you've got this beautiful black bench to sit on. Super comfortable. Handmade by somebody. Just tell those stories. Oh my gosh! We did it! We did it! We painted a painting! Yeah, we did it! We did it! We painted the night garden! Oh my gosh, you totally did it! Look at this! Look at this awesome thing that you painted on burlap! On burlap! Look at that! Burlap! Burlap! It's just a burlap! So fantastic! I think this is an incredible look. I think we should all paint some things on burlap. Go back and paint all the other paintings on burlap and hang them up on your wall, and your friends and your family are going to be so impressed. Everybody's going to want to buy one. You're going to be opening up Etsy stores with it. I'm telling you what, this burlap thing is a thing. I like it. Do you like it? Let me know. Tell me in the comments. Talk to me on Facebook. Talk to me on Pinterest. Talk to me on Twitter. Somebody tweet me. I'm not great at Twitter, but you can send me paintings on Twitter. I think this is really, really, really beautiful. Sign the corner if you like. Let everybody know that you did it. You did. You know, enjoy your creative time because you're totally worth it. It's how you give back to the world. I will see you guys really, really soon. I love you. Keep painting. Keep painting. Keep painting. Bye-bye.